Hi everybody, this is Pam with Jesus Junk Journals, and we are getting ready to work on the Ruth journal. So I decided what we would do is start with the 4-flap box fold. And so I've cut my pieces out. So you've got this, and actually those were just extras. You've got your 4 other flaps, and then you've got your pockets. And then you have your little scripture cards to tuck into the pockets. So I'm going to start out in ink and ink everything with my vintage photo ink. So I'm excited about this journal. I love this color. I love this coral color. It's one of my favorites. I have, actually up here in my studio, I have a table painted with this color. And I have a lamp this color. And I have always collected things. Back in the 50s, that was just a super popular color. So there's a lot of vanity items for women in that color. Like, I don't know why I buy clothes from that era because, I can't wear them, but I don't know why I'm just attracted to, I have this really cute lacy bed jacket with that quilt. It's like quilted, some kind of quilted fabric in this peachy color. And I just love it. So I was really happy to use it on this. I wanted to do a feminine, of course, with Ruth being the subject, feminine sort of looking journal. And I had ink on my pockets. So Ruth, the book of Ruth. So as you guys probably know, the saying is the New Testament is hidden in the Old Testament and the Old Testament is revealed in the New Testament. And I think it said the Old Testament is the New Testament concealed and the New Testament is the Old Testament revealed. And so this is a really good example of that because there's symbolism in it. Even though it is a true story and it did happen, there's all kinds of symbolism because God does 5 things at once, or 105 things at once. But hidden within this story is the sort of example of Jesus. And Boaz, they call it a type. Boaz is a type of Christ. And he is called the kinsman redeemer. And the custom back then was that if your husband died, they all had property in Israel. And if your husband died, in order for the property and everything to stay in the family line, the next family member, the brother or whoever, was supposed to sort of take you as his wife and sleep with you, and you were supposed to have a child to carry on that dead husband's property and family line. So that's sort of what's happening here with Boaz. He is the kinsman redeemer, which is what that's called. So, the story, I'm assuming you guys have all read it and are familiar with the story. If you're not, be sure you go and read it. Now I'm going to go ahead and fold this on these lines and use my bone folder to make it lay really nice and flat. And so I have on some of these, in case you haven't heard the term, Ruth is a type of the church. She's an example of us, the Gentiles that come in and are the church, the redeemed. And Naomi is a type of Israel. And Boaz is a type of Christ. Get my bone folder here. So that's what those cards are in there for, if you're wondering. Okay. So the story, of course, starts off with Naomi. She and her husband have moved to Moab, which is a no-no. They were not supposed to do that, if they did what God had told them to do. But there was a famine, so he did what he thought was right. It said it was in the time of the Judges, which the book of Judges is I believe, right before Ruth. And it was a time where they didn't have a king, and they weren't really listening to God too much. So they had judges, and they were people that God sent to give them prophecies and lead them and tell them what to do. They would consult with them, kind of like prophets. But they were called judges, and it was the time of the judges when the book of Ruth took place. And it says in the book of Judges that people did what was right in their own eyes. So everybody's doing their own thing, sort of. And so Naomi's husband and her 2 sons and she go to Moab because there's food in Moab. And it says they stayed there 10 years. Her husband dies. And then her 2 sons take wives and of the Moabites, which was a no-no. They were not supposed to do that. And then they die. So Naomi is just beside herself. Here she is in a foreign land, and her husband's dead. Her sons are dead. You know, and women were not thought of very highly back in those days. And so she's got her daughters-in-law, these Moabite women. And so she decides, she hears that there's food in Israel, and she's from the town of Bethlehem. So she decides to go back. And so she starts out with the daughters-in-law, and then she decides, no, I better send these girls back to their families. They'll be better off there, and I can't do anything for them. And so she sends them back. And Orpah is one of the, I think I said that right, Orpah? I always think Oprah, but it's Orpah. She cries and everything because they both love Naomi, but she agrees, and she does go back and goes back to her family. But Ruth won't do it. She will not leave Naomi. She loves Naomi. She's dedicated to Naomi and Naomi's God, really. And so that's the famous quote from Ruth, which is this one: "For where you go, I will go, and where you sleep, I will sleep. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God." And that, she just refuses. And you know, Naomi tries to get her to go, and she won't go back. She's dedicated to Naomi and her God, which that made it okay. If the foreign women would come into Israel and accept God as their God and become Jewish in effect, that was okay. They were allowed, that was fine to do. So they set out and they go back to Bethlehem, and Naomi is just kind of beside herself. She renames herself. I forget what it was. It's some depressing name. And just doesn't expect a whole lot. And so they move back, and people are welcoming them because they remember Naomi, and they're, you know, feeling sorry for her and so on. So Naomi tells Ruth to go and glean, which was the Jewish custom was for these men who raised crops, you were supposed to leave the outer edges of your crop fields, leave the grain standing, and like not go back through and get a second picking, so to speak, because you were supposed to leave it for the poor so that they could go in and gather food. And it was called gleaning. So that's what Naomi's told Ruth to go do. So she goes, and just by chance, she ends up in Boaz's field. And Boaz was a rich man. He had a lot of property and all sorts of things. And he was also related to Naomi's husband who had died. And so he was a kinsman redeemer. So Ruth goes, and she actually catches the eye of Boaz, and he's like, who is that? And so they tell the story, because of course it's a small town. They all know the story that this girl has come back and wants to be with Naomi and help her and live with her and, you know, do right by her. So he's impressed with that. And I guess he must have been impressed with how she looked, because otherwise I'm not sure how she caught his eye. But anyway, Okay, so now we are going to glue these on the back. So I'm going to get my glitter glue. And put these on. So anyway, so that's kind of how the story starts out. So if you haven't read it in a while or haven't ever read it, go back and read the story. It's considered to be one of the greatest short stories, or whatever you want to call it, written, even by people who aren't Christians. Consider it quite the work of art as a short story. So, and it's, I think, just 4 chapters, so it's super easy to read. Put this flap on. And I think I will take it to the sewing machine and stitch it, because it always looks better when you sew it. We will see. I'm going out of town, so I'm trying to shoot videos on this and still have time to go. We have a family reunion in Kansas City that we're going to go to. And, ooh, I did not get that lined up well at all. Carefully, carefully. See if I can pull that apart and redo it. Okay, try that one more time. Get these edges lined up better. Okay. And make sure they fold in nice and flat. And we will trim these because they always bind a little bit. So you end up trimming a little bit off all the edges, and that's fine. Don't worry about it. Okay, and so now we put our pockets on the inside. So you just want to glue the 3 sides and leave the edge of the scalloped edge for your pocket. And I close this, I call it a box fold because I just fold it like you close a cardboard box. But the alternate way to make a closure is to use the circles, the cardboard circles, you know, with the string. You can do that and just fold it this way and do a closure like that. If you don't like the box fold idea. And these are just great little standalones. If you want to give a gift to someone, and you really don't want to give or don't have time to make a whole journal for them, you can make these little box folds. I've got several just by themselves out there on Etsy. One's a cute one. It's his eyes on the sparrow. That's a really nice one to give as a gift to people. You know, make 5 or 6 of those and just give them that. And it's like a little sampler of your journaling. And then they have the pockets that you can put notes in and scriptures. And so, all right. So this is basically it. Now, you can also, and I suggest you do, put washi tape to reinforce the folds. If you fold it very much, you don't want to wear it out. So I'm going to grab some washi tape. Let's see. See what can I find. I mean, that's sort of got more orange in it though. Let's see, what do I have? Oh, that's pretty. Okay, I like that one. All right, and I don't want it to, I like what I have on here, so I'm not gonna run it over very far onto that edge. Because I like, or am I? Maybe I will. Okay. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. And you can also do cloth if you want to cut little pieces of muslin and fray them out. It takes up more room when you fold it, but it will work. I've done it and it looks super cute. I wouldn't do anything too thick because it will bind up, but it just adds another layer of wonderfulness. Is that a word? I love this honeysuckle, this botanical honeysuckle print. Okay. And we can trim out whatever's binding here in a minute. Now, do I want to... I don't know that I want to use washi tape on this side. Let me see if I have anything really thin. I don't know if that will help or not, though, if I use it really thin. Sorry, talking to myself. I think I'm going to leave it alone because I like what's going on here, the colors and everything, and I don't want to take up any more real estate with tape. Plus, this is pretty close here, so I think I'll just let it be on the outside. So I'm going to fold that all back up, make sure it folds right. And I'll take it over to the sewing machine, and I'm just going to go around the outside edges, and then I'll be back. Okay, so there it is, stitched around. I ended up having to sew it twice because I ran out of thread and sewed it and had no thread. So I know we all go through that when we do things, right? It's not just me. I'm going to go ahead and ink these scriptures. So the scriptures I have, in case you're wondering, because they're New Testament, refer to the redemption. So I got scriptures all about redemption because we are redeemed, like stamps. No, God redeemed us. Jesus redeemed us. He paid the price to redeem us. Like when you put something in the pawn shop and they give you a ticket, and then you can redeem the thing. You can come back with your money and redeem your item. And so that's what Jesus did for us. He redeemed us. We were owned by Satan, basically. Adam had sold us out. So he had to pay a price for us to get us back. And so he died for us to redeem us. And so that's what these scriptures, the redeemed of the Lord shall say so, those whom he has redeemed from the hand of the enemy. Psalm 107, who gave himself for our sins so that he might rescue us from this present evil age. Galatians 1:4. Christ redeemed us from the curse of the law, having become a curse for us. And then in him we have redemption through his blood, the forgiveness of our wrongdoings according to the riches of his grace. So that's why those scriptures are in the Ruth journal. So I've got New Testament scriptures and Old Testament scriptures in this journal. Get this inked and then fold this up. So this folds. Now this is where you'll probably need to trim a little bit. Yeah, see how, depending on how you folded it, let me see if I can get it to fold a little straighter there. If you manhandle it, you can get it to do what you want. Hopefully. There. And make sure that's where you want it to go. And then this goes over here. And then this one, see how it's binding up just a little bit right there. So I'm going to trim that right there. And of course my stitching goes right close to that. So I'm just going to get as close as I can. Trim that back. So it folds a little bit easier. And this direction, it's a little tight there, so I'm going to cut a little bit on this one. And, you know, there's a couple of ways this can fold, so just keep working with it and you'll get it to be more flexible and fold better. So then this tucks in just like a box lid. And it takes a lot of abuse, so don't be afraid to push on it and do what you need to do. And there it is. And then you'll put glue on it, glue it into your journal. And then we'll put the little scriptures in, a couple of these. Didn't get that ink, did I? Okay, a couple of these are longer, so they need to go in these long sides. The sculptures, or the little scallops, are cute, but they make it harder to get the scriptures in, but it's cute, so there it is. And then get this one in here, this one in here, and it's all loaded. You can, of course, put more in there if you want to. And fold it up, and it's ready to put in. So there is that piece of our Ruth journal. Hope you enjoyed that. And I will come back and we will work on some more stuff on the next video. So thank you for watching. Think about clicking the like button and the subscription button. And I will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.